Let me tell you about this knife. It takes me back many years, back when I worked in law enforcement, some of the best years of my life. I personally started in the jail as a correction officer, and while I was going through the Peace Officer Academy, I would work at night and go to school during the day, and eventually I made it out to the streets as a deputy sheriff. And I later got promoted to investigations, where I spent most of my career. I was able to work a wide range of cases, from person crimes that involved aggravated assaults and robberies and even murders, to child crimes, and there was lots of those, narcotics, property crimes, which involved thefts and burglaries, and anything and everything in between. I spent most of my career in CID, which was the Criminal Investigation Division. I remember we had a case that was a burglary, and we had lots of burglaries. In most counties, there's more of them than you know about. And this was way out at the end of the county, and it was in a rural part. It was I want to say a community, but it wasn't really a community like a neighborhood you would think. There would be a house here or there, and had roads that would shoot off and that weren't very long, and there would be a few houses on each road. There was a trailer house that had been broke in to, and like most burglaries, there was electronics, and anything that could have been a weapon was taken, and it was just the common MO that was going on back then. It was hard to narrow down time frames on this case, especially, because it was not a vacation, it was a second home for the owner. But in working the cases back then, you'd run across somebody, and a lot of them, you'd catch somebody and they would know about other ones, or they were involved in other ones. And in interviewing a suspect on another case, led us down to the road where we were able to make an arrest and got confessions on several different burglaries, and including one that helped us recover properties for this one. And wasn't everything we got recovered, but we got, I think it was a couple of guns, and maybe back then it was like VCR players and stuff. But I was able to meet with the owner, and he was a cool old cat. I thought he was so fascinating, and I was able to give him back what we recovered. Like I said, I know there was a couple of guns and some electronics of some kind, and he was grateful. He wasn't, he was grateful more about, the items that could have been sentimental, which I guess would have been maybe the guns, but he wasn't too surprised because he knew these kind of things were going on. And he told me he spent, I think it was like 9 months at least out of the year living down in Mexico, and he lived down on the beach, and he was just fascinating. He told me he'd been there for numerous years, and he'd come and stay back here for a little bit at a time and just check on things. Told me he had a family down there, and as far as a wife down there, and we talked a long time about his life, and eventually we talked about knives. And I told him that I was just into collecting knives. I'd met this other old gentleman who taught me about eye brands. Anybody who knows about knives knows what I'm talking about. And that took me down a road of collecting knives, and I collected them when I was little, but I really didn't know what I was looking for back then. But at the time, I kind of stepped off and was kind of deep into the whole knife collecting thing, and got him his stuff back, and we parted ways. And a short time later, he came back up there and said he wanted to give me something. And I told him, I said, well, I can't take anything that's considered compensation or anything. He said, no, that's not what this is. Said that he wanted to give me a knife for my knife collection. He said he collected knives, which he told me about, and he likes passing them on to other collectors. And this is Sharktooth, which the knife collectors know what it is. And it's not the most expensive. It's not the, most coolest or anything. But I think it's neat. It was over 30 years ago, and who it came from, is interesting to me. And I never saw him again, never could talk to him again. I did thank him very much for, and I took it and put it up, and it probably needs to be cleaned some right now, but I enjoyed the memories of the way we talked and about the way he talked about living on the beach and the kindness he showed me. If you got any cool stories about any knives you got or any other things that you've came across and the memories they bring, which that's a lot about the channel that I'm trying to create here, is about over 50 and just, lessons I've learned or things I've seen. But when I show the items, most of them have some kind of memory about them. My wife's amazed about how, especially on the knives, I can show her a knife and tell her exactly where I got it or why it means something. But there's so many other items that I see and it brings up a memory 30, 40 years ago. So once again, if you got anything like that, please, I'd love to hear it, and just send me your stories if you got any. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.